Welcome into another edition of the No House Advantage NBA Strategy Show. We have a bunch of games, a bunch of different activity here to look at with COVID clearly not going away in the NBA. A lot of moving pieces, a lot of moving parts that we have to get ahead of. Good thing we have a combination of A, Terry is in the house here for you out there, and B, he has all of the No House Advantage projections that we all have on site and access to on Awesemo. Chris is here producing, so this is like traffic duty for him. He must have screwed up somewhere up top on the chain to be hanging with us today. What's happening, man?
What's going on, bud? Yeah. Poor Chris got busted down to duty with us on a little half hour here, but glad to have him up. Glad to have him behind the glass with us, and got the dog under the table barking now. So, a lot of stuff going on, but should be a fun slate to talk through. A few more games than that shorty that we had last night, and for me, that one just went completely sideways. A lot around the mitten. Gary Payton Jr. didn't exactly come through in a massive share of my lineups, but hopefully we turn things back around tonight, and it should be a fun one to discuss for No House, just with all these different active, inactive situations we got going on. There's some interesting lines.
Absolutely. Now, normally I have my hands full with the child. You have your hands full with the dog. So I can just sit back and just, not have to stress for this time. If you need a minute, you just let us know.
He'll hop up and let us know if he needs something.
Nice.
I wasn't sure, nice. But yeah, right now he's just kind of pushing me with his head under the table.
We'll just keep go. All right. Look, nothing wrong with adding, as we've done with my kid, nothing wrong with adding a third member of the show here, if
that's right,
need be, by all means, especially impromptu pop-ins. We always appreciate the pop-in. So the beauty of No House. Yeah, there you go. Wow. Yeah. How does that dynamic work?
Pretty well, actually. They're pals. I've had the dog. I got the cat as a kitten last year, and they immediately bonded, and they hang out and fight and wrestle around all the time, and then go and lay together. So they're cool. They like each other. But
okay.
Cat would dive bomb me on the back of this chair if he wasn't locked up during the show. So
there you go. I figure there would be polar opposites like the over-unders that we focus on here. But look, you got it working, so that's a good thing, man. So we have here No House Advantage. First and foremost, the code is Awesemo. Make sure you use that. We're going to match your first deposit up to $25. And then beyond that, as Terry and I have been talking about here each week, there's a ton of opportunity with our own, Alex Awesemo's own free projections that you can take advantage of for No House Advantage. And look, we even have the optimal lineup that usually gets updated later on closer to lock, where everything is basically being shoveled down your throat. So if you're still like unsure about what to do, then we just take the optimal lineup and say, look, just take this entire thing and put it in there. So normally we start with overs and unders and look at, the highest return that we can find here. And if we're going right down to the number, right down to the decimal, it looks like Terry Royce O'Neale's under at 7.5, the line, with the projection being significantly lower for rebounds. Looks like that actually provides the best return as far as our own projections.
Yeah, it's squeaking past some of the other ones. It's the top one on the board in the 90s with a 90.32. It's a little bit tight, but it's well beyond what he averages, right? He averages in 31 minutes a game. He averages 4.9 rebounds. We've got him projected for 5.3. So we've got him projected out ahead of his average. We're giving him an extra 2 minutes and change tonight in what's currently everybody on the Jazz is listed as questionable or out already. So it's kind of tough to forecast this rotation. I was writing about it for DFS purposes in my article this afternoon, but I expect O'Neale to be out there, and the 7.5 line just seems high. That's a lot of additional work for him to do, and he's falling short of it given an extra 2 minutes already in our projections. So I expect him to come in short of that one, and I'm pretty comfortable with it. 90% seems like a very strong number here, particularly with a board where we're jumping into the low to mid 80s pretty quickly as compared to some other days when we've got a bunch of picks at 99.
Yeah, I said this last time where I was thinking, we're probably going to crack the 70s. And we found a way, I think, to stay north of 80. I don't necessarily know here if we're going to get to that. You're right. I mean, this is especially on the unders. After that, now we get to the high 80s with that. We also have a pathway with LeBron James, the points and rebounds we'll talk about in a second here. But just as far as with Royce O'Neale and all the other guys that you're looking at that are tight with maybe multiple props that you can play here, you can only use one on the ticket. So we gave you the best as far as return is concerned on the percentage that it goes under Royce O'Neale's rebounds. You still have a PRA that's somewhat playable, Terry, but I mean, that's a 6-point difference there. So unless you really like adding the rebounds, the assists and points, I think we have a pretty good, at least starting path here with a 10-point play with one, at least the sole Royce O'Neale play.
Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable staying with just the rebound. It's not like he's the greatest scorer or anything like that. He averages 7.4 real life points per game in that 31 minutes. We're projecting him in the points plus rebounds for 16.6. So 4 and change or 3 and change short of the required PRA line there. So yeah, in terms of where he's coming in PRA wise on the average, it's a 14.8. So again, it's another situation. We've got him projected ahead of his average and he's still falling well short of the line. So if you wanted to go to the PRA, I'd be fine with that as well. But just given the extra, 5 and whatever points, 6 points in terms of the probability, let's stick with the Royce O'Neale rebounds one, the solo rebounding one there. I think that one's pretty comfortable.
So a lot of times we're dealing with here on this show, the difference between a 10th, maybe 100th of a decimal point, right? When you start to look at the difference of Alex's projection. So what we do is we defer to you. You are the tiebreaker a lot of times. And that what that can also do is mitigate maybe the difference of 1 to maybe 3 points, depending on your gut and really what you like. So while LeBron James over the points and rebounds is only at 86. I say only because of the gap in projection at 86.7%. And we do have a couple of other unders that technically are higher than that. I did want to get your thoughts on it right away to see how big of a confidence play this is for you.
So I think you're on the right track there, right? I'd rather probably book those LeBron overs or one of those LeBron overs anyway into this next spot, just in a confidence way, from a confidence perspective, just because of how close they are. And it's always more fun to root for the overs, like we've talked about before. It's, you don't want to root for a bunch of missed shots, kind of sucks. But and for LeBron, it's such a big gap between where we've got him projected and what that line is. For the points plus rebounds, it's a 38.33 projection on a 29.5 line. I mean, we're blowing through that mark. The 29.5 points plus rebounds is less than a point short of his point scoring average for the season. He's at 28.6 points per game in 36.9 minutes. We've got him projected to play 37.2 minutes, so slightly ahead of his average. And he's averaging essentially that mark in points alone. So figure he grabs a couple rebounds along with getting to his point scoring average. I see no issue with LeBron getting past this one. If you wanted to take it on solo points, we've got him projected for 30.52 points, and the solo points line is 23.5. So roughly 5 points below his scoring average, which I still don't understand how they keep arriving at that line, but I think it's playable every single time it lands like that, today included. That one, though, I would book further down card because that one's only an 81%er compared to the 86 and change that we get on the points plus rebound. So I like that one better.
All right. The other guy that's kind of wedged in between O'Neale and James, Terry, would be Malik Beasley. Now, this is a PRA, and looking at least the rest of the props that come up unders, you have a pretty significant gap between the 87.3, technically 4 if we're rounding up, for the PRA versus the 76% and 70, technically 599% that Beasley's PA in points go under. So if there is going to be a Malik Beasley prop we're playing, I imagine it's going to be under PRA.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense given the nature of what's going on in this rotation. Now we got D'Angelo Russell back. We've got Cat back on the floor. So it kind of relegates him. Say again?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just following up. A lot of people, you're right, are back to the fold.
Yeah, exactly. I thought you were telling me that I had missed one of those or something. And I didn't want to
no,
continue down the wrong path.
Was like right behind you. Like, watch out. There's the cat.
Yeah, it's like you're in the movie theater and they, look behind you. Don't go up the stairs.
Around.
Right. So, so I think just the return of those guys is going to have an impact that's not really accounted for in this line. And we see that over the last 2 games. The previous 3, he went 40, 31, 37, and then he only played 20 and 18 minutes the last 2. So I think it's just a situation where we've got the line is well out ahead of what we're expecting. In his 21.2 minute projection that we've got for today, we've got him at just a 13.7 PRA. And that's in terms of what he averages. He averages 17.4 in 27.5 minutes. So we're undercutting his minutes average, which I guess could be a bit of a concern. Like if you wanted to throw that back up to where he was in his normal minutes average, then maybe it comes in closer to that line. So maybe it's one I would knock back a little bit in confidence, just on a totally not totally certain about those minutes being quite as low as we've got them projected tonight. So I might move that back to like the lower 80s, back behind a few of these other plays, but I do think it's a viable play here.
All right, so we basically are going back and forth here for you to give you all of the benefits of our projections on No House Advantage. So if you're signed up to Awesemo Plus Platinum, if you're part of the community here, you're going to get these projections. And it's really as simple as taking what Terry's laying out, how to apply the projections that Alex and Awesemo have on board for you. And they're free today. So if you're hanging with us, everything here free today. As far as moving on, I'm trying to look at Capela, for example, has a couple of these unders that are mid 80s. We did touch on that LeBron at 86. Even Jayshawn Tate and Christian Wood are a little bit below Capela. So I know we love our overs, man, but I think we may have to go back again to the underwell here and attack this Capela, because jammed in between the two Capela unders for rebounds and then PRA is an O'Neale prop, but we've already played Royce O'Neale. That was our strongest one, under 7.5 rebounds. So looking at Capela, we have 16.5 rebounds and 33.5 PRA. I mean, I always love fading scoring from Capela when I can. So if I were to, I almost feel like adding points to this prop, even if it's points and rebounds, but assists is fine here as well, helps you because it's harder for him to reach the points. It's harder for him to reach the assists. Whereas rebounds, although that's a higher return, that's his area more so than the other two.
Yeah, and I'm with you on that strategy. I think that's a pretty sound approach here. That rebound prop is a little close for my concerns against where we've got him projected against what his season average is. He averages 13.1 rebounds a game in 29.9 minutes. We've got him projected at 30.3 minutes. So figure that gives him, 13.2, 13.3 in the average in that much time. Where's going again? So nice. Yeah, I like the idea of adding the points on top of that and the assists on top of that when he's only averaging 11.9 points, 1.5 assists. The assist is a total non-factor here. And right. You're getting a situation where he's set up for a game where John Collins isn't going to be playing, and Collins is potentially coming back tonight. Depends on where you look. Some places have him projected in the starting lineup. Some places have him still as a game time decision. I believe he's still a game time decision as of the last news that I saw coming back from the COVID list. He's been sitting for conditioning the last few times. He went through shoot around this morning, so he's listed as questionable, but it seems like he might play. And when Collins is out there, it's not a massive difference, but Capela's rebounding does come down a little bit. But more to the point, I believe his point scoring, his usage is going to come down even more just by virtue of having another big option in the front court there. So I like attacking that PRA. It's a negligible difference in the probability, less than a percentage point. I prefer giving him more to do to reach the number that he's got to. So I would go that way.
I am curious because it could be so many different ways here. It could be an homage to your favorite actor, movie, athlete, maybe somebody on the Knicks. What's your dog's name? You're
on the right track there. My dog's name is Joker, after the Batman.
Okay, see, I knew it. It had something to do with something close to you, and it was whittling it down to a movie reference with the Knicks.
Yep. That's good calls all around. Yankees reference would have been a good one, like if it was Bernie or something like that. That would have been close. Got my 96 Yanks championship shirt on here today. But yeah, Joker after the Batman villain. And then the cat's name is Ozzy, also after a Batman villain. I'll let you unwind that one.
I love that.
Yeah, that's
amazing. I expected cat nothing less.
Named after the penguin.
Nice, man. All right. So we've hit Capela, we've hit O'Neale, we've hit Malik Beasley, we've hit a bunch of unders that are pretty much higher than the rest of the overs. So let's look at this. We have a combination, right? We have one under and one over. They're both in a similar range. So just mark this. The first is Lonzo going under threes. We have him projected, Alex and Awesemo, at 2.3. The line is 3.5. Now, that percentage is pretty much similar to where we are with, now we played LeBron already, so that's out, right? But pretty much similar with either Tate or Wood going over their respective rebounds. So you kind of have one or the other to choose from, an over or an under. And if you go over, well, then you have another decision. It's like origami, right? Where you choose and it's like, oh, okay, then now you haven't. No, that's not origami, right? What was the thing where you do with the hand and you do the decision making and it's like
where you're counting like between the knuckles or whatever?
Oh no, it's like
the thing that the girls always had with the magic. It unfolds and there's a thing.
Choose, and at the end you fold it up.
Yes, like the paper fortune teller thing. I know exactly what you're talking about. Right. I don't know what the name of it was.
I thought that might be a form of origami. Maybe I am wrong.
It's probably, I would imagine that it originated in the origami folding cultures. Yeah.
Family. Okay. Yes. The origami folding cultures. Right. So all of that basically to get back to ball under threes or Wood and or Tate over their respective rebounds.
I tell you what, I like the looks of that Tate rebound one because it's over his rebounding average for the season. 27.5 minutes per game for the season. He averages 5.8 rebounds. It's a 10% rebounding percentage. And we've got him projected at 6.2 for tonight. The line's only 4.5. Anytime I can pick one of these off where it's underneath the guy's average and I see no real reason for it to be, we've got him projected around the average minutes, 27.2 compared to 27.5. If you wanted to go the Wood route, I would have no issues there either. We've got him projected for a minute on top of his average. He averages 10.4 rebounds in 30.9 minutes. We've got him projected at 31.9 minutes and 11.7 rebounds. So that's well ahead of the line that you need. I just kind of prefer the Tate one because on the average, he's getting there. Like he doesn't need to do anything additional to what he normally does out there to hit that one. So I think between those two, I would take that. The Lonzo threes one is interesting. It's close to, he makes 3 a game. He takes 7.4 a game. I think some of those Chicago lines are a little bit high just based on they've had a lot of missing pieces over the last few games. And now they're getting at least the primary rotation pieces back. So I think that one's probably high along with the Nikola Vucevic lines. And that's probably the reason we can look into those. It's just going to shave a little bit of usage. So maybe they don't take as many attempts, maybe like the Vooch points plus assists or the Lonzo threes. I think the Vooch threes was in here as well somewhere. So I think there are good reasons to go to any one of those just based on an expectation of a bit of a downtick in volume as compared to recent games where these lines might have come from. Lonzo's 3.5 is a half a 3 above his seasonal average. So take it or leave it. It's not the strongest one on the board in terms of where we're looking at some of these probabilities, at least in my mind, from a strength of projection perspective. Like I might be more inclined to look at like, let's say the Mobley rebounding one seems a little high at 9.5 as compared to an 8.2 average, and similar projection for minutes. We've actually got him projected for a little bit more time on the floor and he's still falling well under that one. So that might be a little bit more interesting, but when we're in this range, 80 to 83%, any one of these is basically a similar choice.
Yeah. Then we start to pile up a couple of LeBron ones. There is, I was going to say there's one, but it looks like there are a couple that are in between one I wanted to get your thoughts on. So you do have, at least from a percentage standpoint, Van Vliet assists over that. Jokic, speaking of the Joker, over rebounds. We have those as low 80s as far as the confidence level that that's going to hit. And then one that I really like, but the number isn't necessarily a good reflection of it being higher on the board. I thought it would be at least a little higher on the board. And I guess that's also built in with projection. 8.5 is the number for no house advantage. And Alex has James Harden's assist at 9.99. But we also, and I know this because I was doing this for the Island game tonight for the Bucks Nets, Odd Shopper has Harden projected like low 20s, I think 23 or so, 22.9 points. So it's a lower scoring night for Harden. No Kyrie at home. I would think that if there's anything you could look at, it would be, especially because they're basically healthy outside of Harris, right? It would be him. All right, if he's going to have a lower scoring night, a higher facilitating night. But again, it's at 77.3. So the number doesn't necessarily reflect my level of confidence.
Yeah, I'm with you on everything that you're saying about it, though. And you look at Harden across all situations for this 39.2%. What's that?
No, I'm sorry. I thought you were setting me up for a big butt.
No. I'm with you on that. 39.2% assist share across all situations. And yeah, you figure just, with they just got Kyrie back. So the 39.2 kind of reflects what we should expect from them today in this kind of a situation. It's what they've done all year. But yeah, you take that extra piece away and he's going to have to do some facilitating out there. And the averages support the hypothesis. He's averaging 9.8 assists per game on the year in 36.7 minutes. And we've got him projected for 38.4 minutes. So we've got him projected above it. He averages above it. I see no reason not to take the 8.5 there and run with it. That actually seems like we might have that a little bit low given the uptick in minutes. So I like that one a lot.
All right. Awesome. I'm glad we were able to identify one that maybe normally from a high 70s of a percent standpoint, we wouldn't necessarily get to.
Yeah.
All right, let's make you work here in the final couple of minutes that we're on, final like 90 seconds that we're on. Let's look at, and you could go over or under here. Let's go over because that'll be more fun anyway. Is there anybody in the low set, like 69? That's a good number. 69 or below from an over standpoint that you like thinking, hey, Tim Hardaway Jr.'s PA is 17.5. No Luka, no Kristaps. Maybe there's a pathway there. Bobby Portis's threes is at 1.5. We know that Connaughton and Grayson Allen out. Maybe there's Drew Holiday. Maybe there's a pathway there.
Yeah, so the Timmy one is interesting, right? We've got a lot of Dallas DFS discussion today, but you don't see Jalen Brunson up at the top of the board on NHA because he's appropriately aligned to the expectation today. Whereas on like FanDuel tonight, he's ridiculously cheap, and he was coming up like 80% optimal in our optimal rates. You see a similar situation to that, not quite as aggressive here on Timmy Hardaway, where it's not totally adjusted for the opportunity. Points plus assists, 17.5 compared to a 20 projection. That's pretty reasonable. We've got him projected for 28.5 minutes. He averages 30.9 minutes. So I could see an expectation of getting to some additional run here in that depleted rotation that we're not actually paying attention to or projecting for right now. So the points plus assists one for Timmy, pretty interesting. He averages 18.5 in that 30 minutes, and we've got him projected out a little under that in terms of the minutes, but the average, the projection rather, is already over it. If he gets even to his seasonal average with more to do, I see him blasting through that points plus assists at 17.5.
All right, thanks again for hanging with us. By all means, I know that you have a lot of things going on a Friday afternoon, so we appreciate your eyes and definitely take advantage of what we have with No House Advantage. Use that promo code Awesemo. We'll match your first deposit up to $21 at Digital B21 at Shander Show here for me. And thanks to Chris for producing. We're out of here.
Had a dog. Tire show.
That's great.